Well, this is the end of this 4-video series on effective world language instruction. And I just would like to return to what I said when we began in the very first video. I said that language learning is about opening doors to the possibility of relationships with people whom one could not otherwise know without the learning of this new language. It's incumbent upon us as world language teachers to throw out all presuppositions regarding how language should be taught if we recognize that the status quo is actually closing doors for our students to the possibility of relationships, of meaningful relationships carried out in this target language. You know, for those of us who are just interested in picking up a paycheck, I suppose, why not just throw a first-year student another grammar packet and occupy them for a significant period of class time? But I highly doubt that describes very many of us in this profession. I think most of us deeply are concerned that our students would have the same kinds of rich experiences with this new language that we ourselves have enjoyed, either through our studies overseas or living overseas, or just knowing people who speak this language here within our own nation. So I'd encourage those of you who are sincere about wanting your students to share in these rich experiences that you and I have known, to open your mind to the possibility there might be another way to go about language teaching. René Descartes put it this way: if you would be a real seeker after truth, it is necessary that at least once in your life you doubt, as far as possible, all things. You know, I don't know about all things, but I do know that in my own teaching career, joy and satisfaction only came after I rejected the traditional means by which I had been taught language back in the 60s and 70s, and that with an open mind I consider how is it that people truly learn language. You know, in the first video, you may remember that I told the story about my first baseman on my baseball team in France, who was the son of the prefect of the north of France, and how my family invited him to spend some time with us in the United States. And before we could take him to the States, I had to first go to the apartment in the prefecture and meet his father, so his father could kind of judge whether or not I was a trustworthy individual. You know, as I was making that video, I had one problem. I needed a photo of the prefecture to illustrate about what I was speaking, illustrate the fact this is a rather extravagant, glorious looking bit of architecture, and which also suggested the kind of a powerful individual I was going to speak with. The problem is I could find pictures online, but I didn't have the confidence that I would be able to use them necessarily legally. So as I was making that video, out of the blue, you might say, I received some photos from a very old and good friend in France named Philippe. We became close friends with Philippe during the 13 years that we lived in the north of France. And one of these photos that he sent me, he sent them just, as you'll see in a second, with the notion of friendship in mind, and to remind us of the city where we had become close friends with him. One of these photos was of the prefecture. More than ironically, Philippe was totally unaware of my need of that very photo to complete my work in that first video. Try and figure out the probability of that happening. In any case, on the back of the photo, he'd written these words. This photo, taken on July 14th, is, now the expression here is literally would have the sense of a nod to, but the idea is a tribute to Franco-American friendship. This photo, taken on July 14th, is a tribute to Franco-American friendship. It's in Lille. It's especially because of my thankfulness toward all of you in the Nesbitt family who live in my heart. That is what language learning is all about. It's about the relationships with people whom we can touch and who can touch our own lives and influence our lives as well. Are you taking risks in your pedagogy and thereby opening doors to such relationships for your students? Are you playing it safe and closing doors and also closing your students' minds to the possibilities of actually relating to other individuals with these languages? I invite you to investigate the ULET program. It's just one means. Undoubtedly there are others, but this is one means of transforming your own teaching experience and your students' lives. Thank you very much for those of you who've joined me and having thought this through. What a privilege it is to have this amazingly powerful role, the role of world language educator. We need to carry it out with a full assurance that what we are doing is not for our facility, but is for our students' well-being.